100 days in office, some governors across the country are celebrating their accomplishments already. Well, we will highlight a few, and I'm being joined in the studio by Ugochukwu Ikeako. He's a political analyst. It's good to have you, Ugo.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we still have Raymond Kanabe, legal practitioner, in the studio. Thank you, Raymond, for staying with us. So, we'll start with Lagos, our #1 constituency. So apparently, 100 days in office is a thing worldwide. You know, everybody's trying to see if you have been able to at least scratch the surface of the promises that you made while you were, campaigning or running for that office. Let's start with Lagos, with Governor Sanwo-Olu. I'll remind you, he said something about 60 days. In 60 days, he was going to clear the Apapa gridlock, and then maybe 2 weeks after that, he backpedaled and said he didn't say exactly that he was going to do that. But in the generality of things, is there anything to celebrate yet in Lagos?
I think I'm going to be a bearer of bad news this evening. I don't think there's anything worth celebrating. All right?
How so?
How so? I'm going to explain. Just yesterday, all right, we saw how Lagos got enveloped with a cycle of violence. You know, everywhere it was a heavy pandemonium. People were doing all sort of crazy stuff because of the xenophobia issue, and criminals. Let me use that word. Criminals started attacking different malls, looting things, and the rest of them. If Sanwo-Olu is a serious governor, all right, what you could have done is that we sit down with the security agencies, all right, look back. This is what's happened. Okay, there should be intelligence report. There should be security briefing. The primary duty of government anywhere, serious government anywhere, not Nigerian government, anywhere, key thing is protection of lives and properties. And you failed to do that just yesterday. So if today is an exam day, and we're supposed to mark you based on what you did from yesterday at this moment, I think he has failed very, very well. So, and also number two, I just came into this studio from the VI road, all right? That road is a mess, and VI, as we all know, is like the business capital of Nigeria. So these are two instances. So if it is road, I've not seen it. Maybe it's built in the sky. I've not been able to use it. So if it is security, people are not secure. So videos of Lagosians being molested, being abused yesterday. So if you are a governor and you cannot, at this time, I think ahead, understand the issues that's supposed to be, and be proactive, be responsive towards their governance. It's easy to get somebody to write an opinion piece and say 100 days in office, you're celebrating what we're not seeing. If people are not seeing governance, if it doesn't have any tangible benefit on the lives of people, I don't think you should be celebrating anything. I think you should go back and ask yourself a serious question. Are you governing because you want to govern, or you're in position because you have a godfather who felt there's a need to put you there because you're going to do his bidding? So for me, Babajide Sanwo-Olu has nothing, zero to celebrate, and he should ask himself serious questions.
Should we put the yet, or are you just already?
He has
putting
nothing
a nail
to say at this point. 100 days, nothing.
Okay. So there's a yet to it. Raymond, what do you think?
Well, let me just put it right at what he said. Yesterday's event was a fallout of a continental issue. And so I think it would be too simplistic, with all due respect, to isolate yesterday's activities or events to use it to score the new government in terms of security. I wouldn't agree with that. And to the best of my knowledge, yesterday's event was actually contained. I don't think there was any loss of life.
Yes, there was.
In Lagos,
one person was shot dead. Yes.
All right. Okay. If there was a loss of life, and I'm not trying to justify the extrajudicial killing, but I'm saying there was action, there was an effort on the part of security agencies to contain the situation. I mean, it could have been worse. They could have looted some foreign interests, and to the extent that they took those steps, that was government in action. Whether it turned out completely good or not might be a different thing entirely for discussion, but it should not be the single test to write off the government in terms of security. 100 days,
should 100 days be enough to score anybody? Like I started, most of these people are already celebrating.
Yeah.
But is 100 days enough time to score any government, whether it's a Donald Trump government or a Buhari government or a Sanwo-Olu government? Is that enough time?
I don't believe 100 days is almost nothing. In fact, I'm going to follow the line of President Barack Obama. After his first 100 days, because there was a public expectation from the Obama government, and then when he was celebrating his first 100 days, the press was asking him, what? And he said that the first 100 days will make no difference. And maybe we'll talk about the next 1,000 days. Because 100 days was barely 3 months. And a new government, I know that a new government should actually prepare its cabinet before coming in. But when you come into a government firsthand, it will be very, very realistic. It will take you at least 1 month to have a full understanding of the whole architecture of the government. You understand? And the next 1 month, you put your cabinet in place. And then the third month, that will lead to 100 days. How much could you have done? Nothing. Most times, in the first 100 days, what most governments do is use it to have a proper conception of their project, have map out what to do, and then beyond the 100 days, and they can now go out to do into real governance in terms of infrastructure that Nigerians will actually say, okay, yeah, this is actually government in action. Okay. But having said that, in some states we have seen some considerable...
I was about to say that because you're saying that 100 days is not enough, and there is a certain state governor who is being applauded nationwide for the strides that he has made, because he might not necessarily build a skyscraper or build a Burj Khalifa, but he has strides that are showing that he's going in the right direction.
Yes,
so does this counter what you just said? That
no, I mean, what I mean 100 days in terms of governance, in terms of seeing infrastructure. No, in 100 days, you can't put any infrastructure anywhere. But we can see action tending towards
what actions does Lagos State have to show?
Okay, for the case, I'm not trying to hold brief for the governor of Lagos State.
It sounds more like it.
No, but you see, I'm trying to be very fair to everybody. The governor caught me as somebody who wants to work. He caught me as someone who understands the magnitude of the job to be done. And from his body language and those of his deputy, Hamzat, you see a duo who wants to actually leave a good impression of themselves when they leave power anytime. So to that extent, we can see efforts tending towards action. In a 100 days margin, that should be enough to score any government.
So Governor Makinde has decided to shame all other governors who have not done anything. I mean, yesterday we were talking about the Hedioha Okorocha drama, which continues in Imo State. But Makinde seems to be heading in the right direction. Should other governors be following suit?
I just want to respond to what you said, and I'll answer your question. I think we do ourselves a lot of disservice if we think that 100 days is not enough. And just like you said, it's very simplistic. Right, 100 days is enough, and governors just don't come into office and start reading things. There is a brief, there is a preparation months before you get into the office. There's a handover process, right? There's a transition committee that goes through all these things. So it's not just that you woke up one day and they call you to come to Lagos House and take over and continue from where everybody stopped. No, and this guy has been part of the governance process in Lagos State for the last few years. So it's not like he's a JJC. Just came in to continue from where he doesn't know that is happening. Already, and also, there are signals that you send to the investment community, to the international community, to the people that live in the state that you are serious about doing anything. Nothing has shown that. You made mention of body language. The last time we had a body language in this country, we all ended in recession. So I don't understand how body language would be like for something that we used to qualify somebody for doing basically nothing so far. And if you say 3 months is not enough, 3 months you collect the first salary, collect the second salary, collect the third salary, and you enjoy the perks of being a governor. Makinde is an example, right? It's too early for us to praise him but so far we've seen. I just read that he reduced the budget, right? The last budget that Ajibobi had, 200-something billion. He reduced it to 100-something billion and increased education by 10%.
Have they passed the budget in your state? The last budget is still in cycle. How could you have slashed a budget that he has not passed?
The last budget is still in cycle.
Those are just lip service. Those are just comments tending towards just to buy off the media and get those media.
No, apart from buying off the media, we've seen what he has done in education. We've seen what he has done. We've seen what he has done in terms of his own community. We've seen what he has done in terms of removing NURT, in terms of the whole transportation business in Oyo State. So it's not just about lip service. I'm not saying it but if you ask people to compare, okay, what this has done and compared to this one. And for example, Lagos State, this is a state that has made it easy for innovation to thrive. You see these young guys that have what's it called, a tech business, OP, and the rest of them. A current commissioner working with Sanwo-Olu said that they're supposed to charge them 25 billion naira for J-Book, but he works with them. So this is a government that does not understand that you have a transportation issue in Lagos State. People sleep in traffic for 4-5 hours daily, and you are not being innovative. And you have few companies that are coming in to help. You have people working in your government that does not understand it. So it does not make sense if in 3 months you cannot say, okay, this is what we're doing in terms of solving transportation issues. We're trying to make sure that the waterways are possible for people to travel. We want to make sure that, okay, it does not make sense. So I'm not holding brief for anybody. I'm not doing that. But I'm saying that if you are in Lagos State and you're talking, okay, what are the investment drive? Okay, what are you doing? How are you opening up these cities? All right. It's not just that. And we're talking about the issues. The issue that happened yesterday is not just a one-off. All right. For example, if there is security in Jakonde and this place, you know that these are places that are prone to conflict or violence any moment. What happened? Why is there nobody that was stationed there? Because if this is happening, it didn't just wake up and happen someday. All right. So at the end of the day, it's not for me. I live in Lagos. I pay my taxes here. All right. If this state is better, it's for me. If I don't spend 3 hours in traffic, it's good for me. And since Saulu entered, I've been spending 3 hours in traffic. Nothing has changed. So if the essence of governance is to make my life better, and if that hasn't happened, I don't think I should hold brief for the governor.
Let's quickly go to Imo State, quickly, guys. Still talking about body language, which I think I find very offensive. The governor, which a lot of people pushed and voted for to take over from Rochas, who they thought had to go, is now somewhat being, I don't know, some people call it witch hunting, but he's saying he and the people are moving into the former governor, who's now a senator. They're moving into his place because they're trying to recover looted things, or the state's monies have been... is this not waste of man hours instead of facing more important things, or things that are of most importance to the people of Imo State other than this? Or could it be that the people of Imo are more interested in recovering this loot other than every other thing that they would have as a problem?
Well, for me, I think the answer is twofold. There's a bit of politics to it, to the extent that the governor has his petition pending at the tribunal, and then the tribunal has the nature of the petition has a way of ending up against his interest. So he envisages a rerun election or a runoff anytime soon. So he came into power with and spread a message of the previous administration has looted your common patrimony. When I come into power, I'm going to recover all of those. You understand? So I think for him, politically, it is part of him fulfilling his campaign promises.
But could this fulfillment of part of his campaign promises be taking him away from the bigger things that the Imo people are expecting to be done?
Well, even beyond that, I was going to give some kudos to the government there, because we have seen him create partnerships with some foreign investors who are going to create an electrification project in parts of Ohaji, Egbema. And we have also seen him win down the cabinet. Before now, he used to have 31 ministries, but he pruned it down to 18 ministries. So we saw an effort at trying to reduce the cost of governance, right? He's trying to recover looted funds, or supposedly looted funds, by the previous administration here and there. So I think to that extent we can give him a pass mark. It's also an effort, like I said, it's an effort tending towards action.
Well, for me, I think in addition to what you said, I think we have governors in Nigeria, leaders in Nigeria. Sometimes they forget their core responsibility and start dancing around something that doesn't concern them. If he's going after looted funds, it's none of his business. I don't think the Constitution empowers him to do that. All right, we have the EFCC, the ICPC. You see, you have the anti-corruption agencies that handle this particular issue. So his primary responsibility should be to govern, right? He has done well in doing some things in terms of pruning his councils and the rest of them. But Rochas is not his business. If Rochas has a case to answer, the court will determine that, right? And the same way that his case is still standing at the tribunal, let the court determine that. You have 3 months is passed already. Right, 3 months is passed already. Before you know how to do 1 year, we're talking about 1 year, 2 years, if the court allows him to stay there for the next 4 years. So you don't allow Rochas be the object, all right, of your administration. It shouldn't be what is driving you, because the last time we saw this happen under the Buhari administration, I think I need to point it out, right? When Buhari administration came, it was all about good luck. What happened? Good luck. Why is the economy failing? Good luck. Why this one happened? Good luck. So Emeka Ihedioha should learn from the mistake that the Buhari administration did. Your primary responsibility is to make sure that lives and the lives of the people of Imo State are better off, not Rochas. Rochas, wherever he is, he's fine. Allow the government, allow the EFCC, the ICPs to deal with him if they have issue with him. Face the people of Imo State and make sure they're better off. That settles it.
And there are also governors in this country that we hardly hear anything of them until it's time to campaign all over again. Do we have any idea who these governors are?
Well, my experience tells me that, we have some governors who are media friendly. And that's why I don't want to join the bandwagon of those who have been hailing and beating the drums of Makinde here and there. Mm-hmm. Because I'll use the case of Governor Sullivan Chime in 2007 to 2015. he was not heard anywhere in the media. But when you go to Enugu State, you saw the amount of work he was doing. Whereas in places where you saw governors saying they are doing this, they are doing that, when you go, you wouldn't see the quantum of job done. So at the end of the day, I would not fall for perhaps one or two persons here who have perhaps got good image makers, and then creating that perception of there being perhaps the vintage messiahs here and there. So I will look at the job done at the right time, and then we know how far the distance we've come.
All right, Raymond Kanabe, Ugochukwu Kiako, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. This is where we wrap up the show. Of course, it's been a very interesting one. We'll take a break and bring you a plus package, and when we come back, it'll be time for my take.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Tuesday said the xenophobic attacks on Nigerians and other nationals in South Africa are contrary to the sacrifices made by the founding fathers of the modern nation. He stated this in Kano State when he went to inaugurate an independent 7.1 megawatt solar hybrid power plant at the Bayero University, Kano.
This recent attack is again a condemnable act. It is very sad and very unfortunate that the lives and livelihoods of Nigerians living in South Africa is once again being destroyed with such wantonness and with such carelessness and recklessness. It's very, very sad indeed. And again, I think it's unfortunate. Nigeria has invested a great deal, not only in the destruction of apartheid, in the pulling down of apartheid, but again, this is all contrary even to the very ideas that all of the great leaders of South Africa fought for, including the current president. You know, this level of bigotry, this sort of bigotry is just terrible and is so completely unacceptable. I believe that Mr. President has already spoken about this. Obviously, we're very concerned about this, and we certainly intend to take this up with the authorities in South Africa and to ensure that this sort of thing does not repeat itself. It is absolutely unconscionable, it's terrible.
Well, it's time for my take. You know, there is a saying that, you know, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. That doesn't really hold water these days because there's diplomacy, there's democracy, you know, there's reciprocity. It's written in small print in some laws. But yes, we have found ourselves in a situation where South Africa and Nigeria are at each other's necks again. And this time Nigeria is on the receiving end, as we always are, and more of our people have died. But thank goodness the government is beginning to work its magic and transfer the aggression of the people onto the tables of the South African government, asking them to bring justice to those whose lives have been lost, to those who've been wounded, to those whose businesses have been destroyed. And we hope that with the pushing and all of the pressing that will come from Nigeria's end, the South African government will do all that it takes to bring justice to not just Nigerians, but to every other person in Africa who has been a victim of the lynching and the xenophobia in South Africa. We'll be watching South Africa. And of course, 100 days in office, governors are celebrating. Should they be celebrating or telling us what they're doing or what they have done? We should stop all these celebrations, instead focus on governance. And when you know that you have delivered on the dividends of democracy, then we can roll up the drums and celebrate. My name is Maryann. It's been Plus Politics. Have a great day.